those of you who know me, I don't know that we need this speech, but I appreciate the opportunity to say it. For those of you who don't know me, I'd ask that you get the chance to know me. I reached out to most of you personally with a handwritten note in January when I sent your invoices, as I was, have done for years. And not one of you responded and reached back out to me and, you know, when I asked for, let's go to coffee or get to know me. So you've only heard one version of me, and I really hope that you get to know me personally before you do this. My goal in running for the board and my experience, I have been on the school board for a long time. Mr. Doherty can talk about, I was board chair for him, so I know how to run efficient meetings, which is, again, I think something we need. As treasurer, I inherited a antiquated system that worked at that time, and it's worked, you know, for a long time really well. Definitely we need to update it. We need to spend some money on software so that the reporting is there. So we need to spend some money on other things that will help the secretary-treasurer position and the board in itself become more efficient, become more transparent. I have all the financials, I have all of this stuff done, but as to Joan's point, I've been under a cease and desist. I have not been able to legally share information, and again, with no attorney to guide me on that, I'm playing it safe, right? So, you know, when you talk about there's been no transparency and hasn't shared anything, we don't know where the finances are. For one thing, I bring the finances to all the meetings. For Steve, Mr. Hilco, every year I tout the big bags around with all of the bank statements, all of the fast reports, they're on the Google Drive. And nobody ever wants to look at them. I understand things are different now and people will want to look at them, which is great. I welcome that. I think a financial committee is a great idea. I also think too, though, we need to really look at why, you know, there's bills that I actually haven't paid. We have a deposit that needs to be made, and I haven't done any of that stuff because of the cease and desist, which, FYI, Max and I asked Joan to share that with the neighborhood, and she decided not to. She said she would not share that with the neighborhood, because then we responded to that cease and desist to Mr. Lansing, and he then responded back to us. But again, Joan said no, she wasn't gonna share that, so just keep that in mind as you're thinking about transparency. You know, the other piece I really wanna make you guys aware of is that the secretary-treasurer position is a bill-paying position. And for people to say that I shouldn't be paying bills for services that have been rendered, that's unethical. And we have never been a neighborhood that has not paid our bills. So, you know, the other thing I'd like to say is that the board makes the expenditures. The board approves those expenditures. It has not been me sitting in my office at home saying, I think I'm gonna repay the roads. It has been the board. And if you guys wanna know the history of who was on the board.
I can attest that you paid bills that the board did not approve. So don't stand up there and say that you got board direction.
We'll let you have a moment, just let her finish, please.
And the other thing I would say is, there was a comment from Mary Ann that I paid the attorney and then he quit. Our attorney resigned because he was telling Casey and Steve what they had done was illegal. The way the subcommittee was set up was illegal, and they would not listen to him. They literally sat there and said, we think you're wrong, to a licensed attorney, who's very well respected in Sheridan. And so he said, I cannot represent people who will not follow my guidance, and that is why he quit. But I paid him for the services that he had been rendered, and I have a sheet that I will hand out, if I'm allowed to, that shows how much we've spent on attorney fees and how much we have spent on attorney fees since Casey has been chair. You will be surprised. So I'm open to questions, but thank you.
I have a question. I've got several questions. And this is directed to you,
Okay.
Did you ever misallocate funds collected in the form of dues from Fox Hollow as Picard and Convair to pay road and maintenance fees for Cessna and...
Don't answer that question. He's putting you in a trap. Don't
Yes,
answer the
that's a
question.
question.
Don't answer the question.
Because no, that's not true. The CCNRs define.
Well, we should let him talk. Let him talk.
The CCNRs define how assessments will be used to pay for maintenance and repairs. And it's based on the lot and the street. So if you take money from a street that is not associated with the road that you repair and use that to pay the invoice, you're misallocating.
Was, Casey on the board when those decisions were made? Yes, he was, and Casey made those decisions with the other board members. So I did not.
That is, the money I'm talking about is from 2022 and 2023, and also 2024.
Do you have any
So-
other questions?
It's one subdivision.
I remember.
No, do you have any other questions?
You claim that Casey and the board approved other invoices. That is not true. We did not approve the invoice that Kevin Kessler, the attorney, sent. That was not approved, you went ahead and paid it. That's not the
It is
first time.
unethical to not pay for services rendered.
It
And we have never been a
requires
neighborhood.
board approval, and you didn't
No,
bother
you
to
never
ask.
told me not to pay bills.
No, we didn't say not to. You never asked permission or whether or not the board voted on it. It didn't happen. That's been a history that you follow. You pay bills when you feel like paying them, and that's not how it's supposed to work.
Any other questions that you have?
We're way out of line.
Any other questions?
There's other
Come on,
people.
Just let them talk, and then we'll let, if you're done, let me let other people
No, I'm
talk.
done right now.
Okay, thank you. Who is next?
I've been on the board a few times over the last 25 years, and the way I believe it works is the board approves expenditure, so, we hire somebody to plow the streets. And at that point, that's been approved, so when they do plow the streets, then, and the pit, so when you agree to hire an attorney, he gives you services, you don't have to go to get the invoice approved. That was approved at the point when you decided to render the service.
Glory be. Glory
Where you cheeseburger? You better pay for it before you leave. Yes, please.
Several of our road expenditures were approved before they were actually done. We actually held off on our road, the lower part of Cessna, because of all of the wear and tear that was happening on it because of the construction going on Fair.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that was done later, and that's why those road repairs were paid for later, but they had been approved.
I believe that. Anybody else? I remember that. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Does anybody? Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Did you have
I'd
something?
just like to respond to that. That's not what it says in the CCNRs. It's designed so that your lot, on whatever street you're on, a portion of your dues, which aren't really allowed in the HOA or the ACC, it's an assessment. But the lot and the street determines where your portion of that money is applied. You can't take dues money or assessment money and apply it to another location.
That's not the way we've been operating here.
It doesn't matter, it's in the CCNR.
It does matter.
I would love to look forward to the next year and see. Go ahead.
Are we okay still conversating about this, or should we move on?
Can Heather have one last one? Last one.
Sorry, just, I was the person that was the chair of the board, myself, Kurt Malin, Kathy Tiffany. We were the board that approved expenditures to seal Cessna after Convair had to be built, which meant a 10-ton road grader on tracks went up and down Cessna. Every single time they had to level the roads and level the gravel and level the shale and level the sand and then the dirt and then the asphalt. That 10-ton road grader had to be dropped off on Upper Road because the corner's too tight. If all of you there from Convair, you'll attest to this. The corner's too tight for them to get equipment onto Convair from Cessna. So they drop equipment off at the base of Cessna on Upper Road. We actually went ahead and started plowing Picard and Convair the second that they had been collected yet from the people on conveyor or cart. That didn't start until 6 months later.
Well, you should
So
have
we
assessed the
actually,
contract.
we actually have roads before you gave us a penny.
Okay,
That's all I have to say.
Why didn't you assess the contract that did that? And there's no.
Okay, just one more to go. Oh, Mrs. Gariffa. Hi. And then we'll just breeze through everything in the next short 3 to 4 hours, okay?
I've been a resident in Jeffries for 30 years, a Wyoming native, so very familiar. We do need changes. We're all in agreement with that. So, as a board member, I definitely will work with everybody and see what everybody wants to do and go with the census of what the community wants. So, that's my goal. Move forward,
Any other questions for Renee?
Any questions? She spells her name with 3 E's. You know why? Anyways, there was a motion to have the vote. Do I have a second for that motion?
I second.
Hey.
Would we like to have a discussion about it? Okay, let's do it.
Max, can you describe how the voting is going to go?
Absolutely. So up here. Yes, we're gonna hand it out to everyone. You put your names, 3 names to choose from, your lot owner signature. At this time, you and your wife actually count as one person. I know it's kind of lot. So 1 vote per lot person, and we have our names up here. Except Mrs. Boostum is not going to be.
Okay, so each of these has your address and your lot issue.
If you guys wanna come up and find
Tim's up there.
Are you guys 2 sets? Sorry, your hands on, just making sure.
Sure. Hey, well, let me get your, hang on.
We're not in the subdivision.
So this is Miss Melling. Miss Melling is here to be a mom. She's their mom and proxy. And so, yeah, so she's got his votes here. And she signed it.
Oh, perfect.
No, Thomas told me you signed it.
How are you going to handle the votes if you go online?
Yep, you can just put the ballots right over
can I have you on those out, sir, on? Okay, 6, 7, can you hand those out? 6, 7, and 8.
Are these all pipe?
Somebody has to what's up,
What do you need? 22 cents.
They say yes, there was over here. Somebody, yeah. This does not have a number on it.
73 Cessna.
And the address is 8. That's, who's selected when they're done?
Call it receiver. Okay, collect. Right here. Thank you, ma'am.
Did you? Oh, you already got it.
I certainly will. I'll guard him with my life. Okay, maybe not that big.
Let's first start to make sure everybody's got a ballot. And so just to make sure it's clear. And then Ann, are people handing in the ballots already?
They're putting them up here.
Okay, so that chair up at the front. So did you get yours yet? So I've got Piper, he's got Seth.
The only one who needs to vote online is Jeffries.
Yeah. Card up here. So I don't know my street address. I know my lot number, I don't know my street address.
I got a little excited. I'm sorry. I've been here. I'm really gonna miss. Those.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my current lease. Yeah, we don't live there now, we just have a lot. Can you guys tell me out, where is Piper's Street? Anybody have Piper?
We're official. You can move in now.
I am so happy that you're here. Where would you? Yeah, no, I think you're right. I just got to find out how they work it out. Well, they got just so what do you need?
Ballots that are done.
They're upside down.
Yeah, I got them. They were all rolling really good, and all of a sudden, not quite anonymous. Right here.
Well, we're
I don't know. No idea what that is.
Well, that's what we were hoping is that we could have kind of two different people from two different sides, if their sides do a vote. So I'd be happy while you're running as well. So yeah, so if we have somebody else, maybe the Martins. The Martins are here. I know Matt's not running.
Bruce, you guarded?
What's that?
I said, are you guarding?
Yeah. I look dangerous, don't I?
You do.
Everybody needs to count, you know? I think it just...
Oh, shoot.
We can make a tally sheet out of. 14. If there's some folks on the other side who still harbor this.
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
what I was just talking to Joan, is that we need to have people from both sides do counting. So
Yeah,
that
the
way
whole
it's everybody-
mistrust thing. I don't need it, but I guess that's what they want to do.
Thank you, sir.
This happened. Neighbors ready to pull my head off. Seriously.
Now look, I hope you get your money's worth out of your portion of the road. Oh my God! I've never heard anything so radical in my life.
Thank you so much, Carol.
So please come up with your signed ballot over here on the chair.
Got it. Good job.
Excuse me, security. My ballot.
Apparently,
He's my muscle.
I guess I'm supposed to look scary.
Thank you.
Keep flexing.
I always wanted to look scary.
Let's go there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I'd rather look friendly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Hey, that's perfect.
I'm sure he is.
Is that right?
Yeah, trying to.
So, how does there? Hold on. We need to discuss that for a second. So, I'm thinking that. I don't see any validation or any evidence to discount anything. So, you're saying this is something that's wrong with it? Oh, agreed. 1,000%. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if we had 2 tally sheets, 2 counters, and we make them cross-cut your
All
totals.
the votes on here. What I would like is, 3 volunteers, those who have not been nominated for a position, to individually count the votes. If anybody would like to do that. Sure. Yeah, Christina, would you like to?
You got it. You got it.
Sure. Oh my gosh.
No, we're fine.
One more final, just to ask if anybody has not turned in their vote. I think they already got. It sounds like. Yeah. Be a lot of fun. We're taking the vote right now, just want to make sure everybody's turned in their vote.
Did you get yours? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I'd like to do. And I know it's going to be a little time consuming, but somebody will start here. We'll give you a blank piece of paper, and then we'll write down everybody's name on it, and then you tally, and then we'll move on to the next person. The next person. That's okay.
Is he on there? I have a bunch of in progress. That's why my signature. So if you need to see it or anybody has questions, stay on. Or
We have some more votes coming, guys. Get on, there's more votes coming.
yeah. I think there might have been some hands flying. Probably. Not mine. I'm too old to get hurt. Me too.
I'm going to give you guys your look.
Do you want to flip it? Oh, you're gonna just come.
Still have another vote coming, guys.
Okay. Good luck.
No, we're changing it up. It's actually going to be Facebook Live.
Oh, you're in love, where are you at? You guys just
How do you spell so much. Thank you. We've never had to do this. It's not going to keep it me there. There you go. You got Yeah, I think having a piece of paper there and putting it over so you don't bunch of clouds.
Okay, it looks like I'm late. You got your paper.
Hey, don't do that. Get out of here. Don't point your finger at me. Leave her alone. You're a big bully. That's what you are.
Hold on. Just step away. Just step away. All right. Let's just break.
I'm sorry.
I apologize. No, let's just separate one another. Doesn't need to happen. Cool.
Hey, Matt. Don't ever do that.
Okay, I won't.
Already, it didn't take long.
Hey, let's hear it for our 3 volunteers voting.
Okay, we're gonna tally up the votes here. I apologize for my outburst. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, I just said you're never ready for kids. It just happens, it just happens. It is very accurate, you never find it.
While we're counting, would you mind if we just skip the storm costs real quick and go to our irrigation reports and hear from Tom Tucker and Dave Brody? That's okay?
That's great. Good job, Matt.
Tom? Down to you. Oh, there he is. Who can miss Mr. Ustash?
Dave, you wanna go first or you want?
Dave, you wanna go first?
Oh, absolutely. No,
All right.
Okay.
Let's hear it for Tom. Thank you.
Okay. I've had conversations with the ditch rider, and Colorado Colony is restricted now to A stock as of tonight. So tomorrow morning, Jeffries draw north, will be shut off completely. Jeffries draw south, and I'll just say north and south for just ease of me, okay? So Jeffries draw south, Dave, I don't think you guys were even able to turn on. The only reason that we were on is because I knew that water was going out the end of the ditch to Montana. So, Steve was ditch rider was going by my house, and I said, Steve, can you let me turn on for our subdivision? He said, no. I said, okay. 2 days later, he calls and he said, Tom, there's a foot of water going out. I don't want it going to Montana. You guys can turn on until I tell you. Tonight I got a phone call. He says, you guys need to turn off. And I said, what time? He said, tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock when you guys do your meter reading, I want you off. So we're out of water, okay? So just to let everybody know.
Tom, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
When you say north and south, is the south including Convair and Picard?
Everything on their water system, I'm just considering that
Right.
south.
But that's Convair and Picard.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, on their system.
Got it.
What Dave and I will do from here on out, since I live right on the ditch, I see it all the time. Unfortunately, there will be water going through there, and that's probably gonna be a lot of the A stock. Now, I've also been warned by the board, I'm on the Bighorn Reservoir Board. We've been told that the 1891 water is gonna be called for pretty soon, so all of the A stock is gonna be gone too. You're gonna see water going through there, but it's not ours. It's all on priority. So, just forewarning you right now, hopefully we keep our fingers crossed to get some rain in the mountain. the state, may require Jeffries draw, yeah, the 1891 waterways. The only time that I can call Steve Ware, unless it's an emergency, is between on Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 9. And other than that, that's the only time that I can call over and order water. Usually it takes 2 days to get down to us. And unfortunately, people in our subdivision, if you know from past experience, the ditch rider will call me and say, you need to shut the water off now. So I try to get everything out to everybody, try to let them know, either by knocking on the door or letting Ann know when she sends out an email. Same way when we turn her on and off during the end of the year. Last year, I talked to the ditch rider. He said that we had to turn off if we were out of water. So I let the whole subdivision know that we were out of water. And unfortunately, people took that to heart, turned off a couple of them. Tim Green, thank you, Tim, talked to Kevin Fox. Kevin Fox gave us some of his water, because I bought some water from him, because I couldn't get the board to decide in time. So I bought the water myself, and gave us another week and a half of water to get us through the end of the year. And that was something Kevin and I worked out. But I want great thanks to Tim Green.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, now, the bad news. I talked
That
to
wasn't the bad news, Tom?
That was the good news. Bad news. John Becker, who runs all the reservoirs in the mountains, I talked to him on Monday. He said Bighorn Reservoir has 4,321 acre feet of water that's available. At this time, we only have 2,149 acre feet, which is 50%, as of May 18th. The B stock, which is transferable, which is what we have, there's 791 acre feet that is carryover from last year, which is safe. Montana has just called for their water. That's post 1950. Anything past 1950. So the state has said the Bighorn Reservoir shall supply the state of Montana 1,200 acre feet of water. That is mandatory. Of that, if we fill, 28% of that reservoir is automatically gone. So hopefully we fill, hopefully we can supply them. The other thing that, as a board member of the Bighorn Reservoir, there are 3 other reservoirs that we have to fill first that are priority. If they call for their water, we have to fill them. So even if we're only half full, we may lose another quarter of our reservoir to them. That means we've got a quarter of our shares per the entire season to work with. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully we get some rain. I said this about 3 years ago. Nathan Molinak said, it rained, and by God it did.
Say it again, Nathan.
Come on, man. It rained. So, we had last year, Visionary was really good to work with. I had went out and marked all the lines that I knew where they were at, and that was plus or minus 2 feet, and that's what is required by the state of Wyoming for one hole. Most of my marks were good. There are a few that were not, because I was going off the schematic. And so we had a broken line at Tiffany's, which Brad and I just fixed about 2 weekends ago. And I didn't want to wait for Visionary for 2 weeks, so Brad and I went out there and did it. There was many neighbors that walked by that offered to help. And I said, thank you, but there was only 2 of us that could get down in that trench. So, but thank you very much for all the neighbors that stopped and offered to help. We had a broken line at Fredericks. Visionary fixed that one. We had a broken line at Allworth. Will Nichols, Paul Hallworth, and I tried to fix it along with my wife. Visionary then replaced a new line under the road. They had hit it under the road diagonally. So instead of tearing up the road, they put a new line underneath that. We had a plug line at Hallworth and Perkins property because of when it got hit, they put a lot of gravel into the line. That took a major expense of a contractor trying to figure out how to get that gravel out of the irrigation line. And then when we were trying to isolate that area so we could turn on the rest of the subdivision, I broke a valve, didn't know that it was on that line. And fortunately, we figured out that it was, so we got that fixed. We also had a broken line at Kruger's, and Visionary fixed that. We had a broken line at Dominguez, Visionary fixed that one. And we had a plug drain line at Dominguez's, and Visionary fixed that. Due to all that, there was a lot of air put into the line, you know, because I was turning it on and off so much. So a lot of people were having trouble getting their water. Fortunately, if they just was patient, give it some time, it would kind of work itself out. So, kind of learn as you go process. I try not to turn it on that much. So, I do want to let everybody know that there's a 15-foot right-of-way easement on each side of the property, the original property lines, that the subdivision is responsible for, and it allows me to get in to your property. If you're home, I try to knock on your door. If not, if you see me wandering around, please don't shoot me. I'm only trying to fix things, so. If you do have a break or something like that, the subdivision is responsible up to the valve. Contact one of the board members, and we'll figure out who to contact tonight. And they will contact me, because then they give me permission to go on your property, basically, and get parts. A lot of times I'll have to go buy a valve or a couple of valves and some couplings or something to fix the line. So don't contact me directly, because it's not going to do any good. I ignore a lot of phone calls. So please contact the board. I do want to let you know that lot 18 and 19 have a shared 40-foot reciprocal access easement only. The responsibility of the subdivision stops at that cul-de-sac. Beyond that, it is up to the landowners themselves to take care of the road, and they cannot water above the ditch. Now, we've talked with the landowners, and I'm gonna help them to try to get some way that they can get additional water. But they cannot have water from any of the irrigation through the subdivision itself. So, let's see. I guess if anybody has any questions, you know, directly to me now, I'll try to answer them. If not, Dave?
I didn't hear the beginning. How long is the water off for?
Tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock.
For how long? We don't know.
Pray to God.
Okay, all right, perfect. That's all I
Yeah.
have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Molinax knows.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So just looking forward and also looking back, you know, there was a time when there was only a couple of houses on Picard and Convair, right? And then now obviously we have more.
Yes.
Where do you see kind of the future? You don't have to give me details, but just high level, where do you see the future handling some of the different needs of the new homes getting built?
With the water.
Right.
Okay. What we're trying to do is I've got both subdivisions, and I've worked with Jason on this, on the list of anytime there's shares that come up, we're supposed to be notified. So that we can either, like we did last time, we bought shares and they were divided between the north and the south evenly. We're gonna try to do that again as long as they come up, so.
And the need, do I understand right, that the need in the newer area is a greater need right now since there's new homes? Is that right? They need more water than we do, so to speak?
No, not really.
Okay.
Usually what we try to do is I only open our meter for half a CFS. That way it's 1 cubic foot or 1 acre foot, sorry, per day. And that usually gets us through the season. This year's an anomaly. I don't know what's gonna happen.
So I was just trying to clarify, just from a, you know, I know life's not fair, but from a fairness point of view, are they getting as much water? Is the south getting as much water as the north right now?
No,
A lot
they're
less.
not, because they don't have the shares. They don't have the stock certificates to allow them.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to find more shares for them. And we have put in multiple bids and, except for the last one, we've been denied. People have outbid us, so. And?
Can you talk a little bit about kind of the history of acquiring shares? For instance, when Heather and Kathy Tiffany were on the board, you had an opportunity that they arise very quickly, correct? And if we don't have the funds in our account, we lose out.
Right.
But so at that time, the board made the decision, Kurt was there too, to purchase those. Can you explain that? And so then last year you came to the board and they didn't get back in time and we lost those shares. Can you like explain why it's good to have a reserve fund when we're talking about assessments and money in the bank?
Yeah, there are times where attorneys will contact me and let me know that there are shares available. And so I need to contact the board and I need to know right away. Last year, we had a landowner that was gonna allow about 12 days worth of water. And by the time I got permission from the board, got back to the individual, he said, too late, I'm sorry, I'd already sold it. So I need to know as soon as possible. Right now, the shares of Bighorn Reservoir are going for about $1,200 a share.
Any other questions? I have one when we talk about going really fast. In real estate, you know, a lot of times we'll see a hot number get sold within 24 hours, sometimes less, sometimes 48 hours. How many days, how many hours are we talking about moving fast in your world?
It varies, Matt. Usually if I find a landowner that is willing to give up water, he likes to know the next day.
24 hours.
24 hours, 48 at the most, unless I can tell him. You know, when I told him, I said, hey, I'm working with a new board. It may be a couple days before I can get back to you. And by the time I got back a week later, they were gone. So I had to find additional water. And which, thanks to Tim Green, we found some water, I guess. So.
A few years ago, we made sure you had some funds already there ready for you to go.
Yes.
How much do you recommend we have now? I don't. In our bank account.
You know, this is kind of an odd year, really, Brett.
I don't know if you guys heard, he said, how much should we have in reserve for when the opportunity comes up?
You know,
Great.
to be honestly, if you had about $10,000 sitting there, you know, that would be nice, a nice cushion to have. I don't know if it's gonna happen next week or 10 years from now, it's a problem. So, it's just, it would be nice to have some kind of reserve, so if I do get water, and I do have to make a quick, like the last attorney that I talked to, he said, hey, I've got an individual, he's got 2 shares, how much will he offer? And I said, well, let me talk to the board. And we went to the board and I said, you know, the last time we bought shares, it was $1,100. How about we offer them $1,200? Called the attorney the next day and he said, good, that's twice as much as what they thought they were gonna get. You sold it. So I thought, I don't really care, I just got 2 days worth of water. So, you know, it makes a difference. Now, we do have in Jeffries Drive North, that part of it, we purchased Bighorn, or, you wanna say? Park, thank you. Park Reservoir shares. That was way back. So that's tied to our subdivision, that headgate part. If those come up, they are $12,000 per share. So.
But they go year after year after year, so that's equivalent to 10 years worth of water.
Correct. Yep. And quite expensive, and usually they go to the polo people, so we can't afford it. We just got lucky 26 years ago, something like that, so. Other than that,
Are these shares that you're talking about that you paid $1,200 for, or whatever it was, are those just annually?
no,
They're permanent?
they're permanent.
No, the shares you were talking about earlier for $1,200 or for 1 year?
No.
You're
No.
buying them?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we bought 2 shares at $1,200 per share.
Of Bighorn Water?
A big orange one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever. So what we're trying to do is get more for the Jeffries Draw South, because they're quite a bit further behind than we are. So they need to find more water. And when it becomes available, like I said, they're on the list. So,
And Tom, just to clarify, they have less shares available because the person who owned that land prior to it actually starting to be developed hadn't bought shares.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the only shares that they found tied to that piece of land, so that is what they were issued.
Tom, can you make it a point that those systems are completely separated?
Yeah, the 2 systems are completely separated. That's why Dave Brody takes care of Jeffries Draw South, and I take care of Jeffries Draw North. Dave and I are gonna get together. Fortunately, I live right on the ditch, so I know when the water's in. And like I said, I saw water going through, and that's why I talked to Steve and said, hey, can we have some? And he said, no. So, you know, it is what it is. But then I get a call a couple days later, and he says, yeah, because I'm not gonna let it go down to Montana. So from now on, what I'll be doing is if that happens, I'm gonna be talking to Dave and say, hey, Dave, you need to call Steve too and see if you can get some. So, it's kind of a learning curve on everybody's part. Usually in the spring, we don't have to worry about it. We get like 2 or 3, at least 2 months of runoff water. And right now, we're out. So,
Can I make a motion to keep Tom in as our irrigation at JDS North?
I'll second
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no,
Maybe
you're part of me.
Board right now. How do you do that?
He's doing it forever, he's a forever.
We wanna lock him in for the next 20 years.
So I'll turn it over to Dave next, okay? We'll just worry about that later.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Hi, I'm Dave, Brody. Anyway, so I'm over on Bighorn Road, and taking care of water, turn off, turn on, and any problems that we have over that side. And basically, Tom has touched on all the valid points that affect us on our side. Essentially, there's a lack of water up in the mountains and the reservoirs right now, which is really gonna affect what's gonna happen with our ability to use digger water, okay? Normally, we would have the so-called free water, which is also called ditch water, also called runoff water, meltwater, and all these other things. And Tom was able to get a little bit of that going on his side recently, but we didn't get it going on our side for various reasons. First reason was it's been below freezing at night up until recently. I didn't want to open the gates and our valves and risk having damage to our system. Second reason is I don't want to go across onto Kevin Fox's land where the gate is to open the ditch water flowing to our side without Kevin and Tim, who are very helpful in helping me open and close and avoid damage to that 100-year-old plus iron gate system. Without these guys being here, they weren't here up until recently for various reasons, but now they're here and we don't have water. Okay, so essentially we don't have water in the ditch for free runoff, and we have a certain number of shares. Our shares are known as C shares, and they're prioritized in water. And doesn't matter if it's prioritized or not if there's no water. So that's the situation with the runoff. So we don't have runoff water right now. Where are we gonna go from here? Well, we have 39 point something acre feet in the Bighorn Reservoir, which we can do what you call for water going forward in the season. That depends on there being water in the Bighorn Reservoir to call for. And the way the allocation works is that you might have X number of acre-feet shares in that reservoir, but that is based on the reservoir being full. If the reservoir doesn't fill up with runoff, which it is still filling up right now, apparently I spoke to Steve Ware just before I came here, he said it's still rising, and hopefully we'll get some precipitation. But if it doesn't fill, then the powers that be that make the decision about how many acre-feet get distributed to end users like us have to decide on what amount of our shares we can have to use. And it's gonna be prorated on how unfilled or filled that reservoir is. That decision still hasn't been made because they're not sure whether or not it's gonna continue to full levels. So that's to be determined. When it's gonna be determined, probably in the next matter of weeks. Okay, so we're not gonna be able to quote, call for any water because they're not honoring any calls for water right now. All right, so that's where we're going there. As far as the status of things on our road, Pickard Road and Convair Road, you know, we've had a spate of problems with breakages due to lines that were not installed well enough to withstand conditions, and they lead somewhere accidents from people that were doing work on their property. And those things are gonna happen, and we have to deal with them, et cetera. But the last that I checked, and I'm constantly going up and down the road and checking when the system is pressurized for leaks and make sure that the taps are not leaking and they're closed, et cetera, in occupied lots. Seemed to be okay when I put it to bed last year, so hopefully when we open it up this year, there's not gonna be things oozing and leaking you out of your problems down your way, et cetera. One note that I'd like to touch on, and probably the people on our road know that, Todd, you might know that too, but hopefully people don't take it unto themselves to utilize different fittings, different size pipes to draw off of that distribution lines, because that'll unbalance the system. If you're having trouble getting sufficient pressure from the diameter line that feeds your tap because of your position where you are in the distribution, the way it should be done properly so you don't affect every other user on our line by oversizing your line, is to install a tank, whether it be buried or above ground, and then you just simply let that ditch water fill that tank, and then you install however many horsepower motor, usually a 1.5 horsepower motor is sufficient, and you'll have pressure beyond any line that you could potentially put on that would be gravity fed. In fact, the fellow next door to me, Jay Martini, did that and buried a cistern, and I know Tim up the road from him did as well. And just a 1.5 horsepower motor, 1 horsepower motor can give tremendous pressure and run all this, you know, without drawing or an overdue amount and unbalancing everybody else. So that's just a little suggestion to people if they need to get more pressure on your line. My suggestion would be, from what I have seen with Tim's system, with Jay's system next door to me, and plus several other people that I know, if you're gonna install a pressure tank, I would kind of suggest that you hide it behind a shed, the back end of your house where it's not visible to you, your neighbors, et cetera. Put some bushes around it, keep it above ground, because if you have to change the intake pipe or the shut-off valve from the fill, that could be a bear if it's buried underground. But if it's above ground, you pull the petcock out on it, drain it, you know, in the fall, put it back in, and if you have to service that thing, it's standing up right above your ground. So that's what I would suggest as far as that. But so that's the sad state of affairs, you know, where we're at as far as, you know, available water that we're supposed to get from the ditch system. It's Mother Nature just hasn't done her part yet, and hopefully, as soon as she does, I will be all over getting that water running for us on our road, because believe me, I got plants, bushes, and all that, and I don't want to be spending hundreds of dollars a month using Saul's water, you know, to irrigate them, but it is what it is.